Welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
Tonight we talk about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 13, A Dance of Deception.
Yeah.
This episode was good. Had its really strong moments and some lulls.
Yeah.
And the lulls are from largely how difficult it is to run this kind of a scene.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's any best way, because the different ways that I could think of to do it all emphasize something different.
Yeah.
But before because I want to talk about that when we get to the actual getting to the ball more in depth about that.
Yeah, he did, Rose. He handled it pretty well.
Yeah. I don't want to... I'm not saying Matt did a bad job. I'm just saying these kinds of big social scenes.
Yeah.
But we begin with them reviewing their plan / what happened last episode. And the other cart, half of them listening in horror at the recap / rewriting of the plan.
As they pretty much decide on things that they said probably wouldn't work last episode.
Yeah. It's so good. And the metagaming pigeon was killed by Chetney, I think.
Oh, I love that, where Chetney pipes in and Laura's Imogen's response, "That's a great idea, but you're not here."
Yeah. So a taste of things to come for sure.
Yeah.
Matt tries to get everybody. What are you trying to take in? What are you leaving behind?
Yeah.
And particularly on weapons. He says if you're in armor or whatever, you can get away with that.
They probably wouldn't be allowed in full plate, but
right.
A breastplate or leather, sure.
A chain shirt, because that can be worn under clothing.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
I like that imagery, Rose.
Yeah.
Jenny just jumping between the carts and whispering in it. Or kicking him back out.
Mr. does not exist.
Yeah.
There was no talk of how Fern was getting him in.
Well, technically he doesn't until she is.
Yes, rules is written, that's true. But it tickles me that the further away we get from EXU, the more and more theoretical Mr. becomes.
Yeah.
Dorian lies and gets to get his rapier.
Yeah.
Well, or Bertrand's, however you want to look at it, past the guards. We also get the first mention of the evening that approved duels happen.
Yep.
That dueling is a thing. Totally missed by everybody, I think. Yeah, Rose, I think some of that is that we live in a post 9/11 America, where we expect to be
Where we
violated.
have to deal with the TSA.
Yeah, by security. Where in the past, that really wasn't a thing. And so long as Matt, or as the players, described a way of hiding something that was passable, I think Matt was just going to let him get away with it.
Yeah.
It's how overt are they trying to be? And like, depending on the size of the dagger, like, or the design of it, I would almost have argued that Orem wouldn't have had to hide it.
Yeah. But, I mean, you may as well make use of the MC Hammer pants while you got them.
True. So, yeah. It's only like super paranoid people that won't let anything like that in.
Yeah.
And they didn't seem particularly overly paranoid about anything like that. Fern says, "I leave everything."
Mm-hmm.
And then...
But then when they're being searched, she says, "Oh, that's my whip." So she had brought her whip in.
Did she?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. And I was going to call her out for the scimitar that she pulled out of her butt to give to Ashton at the end.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Imogen, no weapons, because that's the beauty of a spellcaster.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Matt is going to come back to components. Because last episode they did make a point of starting to collect all of their components.
Yeah.
So I will be interested to see if he says, "Do you have your focus, or do you have that component?"
Yeah.
We'll see. Because some things like Armor of Agathis would be easy to cast at a
ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. Ladna is smuggling Chetney's file.
Yep.
In her hair. And Chetney says, "I'm not going to take anything because I need to move." Also, I think he realized, well, she's got my file, and I just put a chisel in FCG.
Yeah.
So I don't have to carry anything.
Well, that and like spellcasters, that's the beauty of being a lycanthrope.
Yeah, if he needs it, yeah.
You don't actually need your weapons.
Well, yeah, Rose, and that's the...
Yeah, a maul is hard to smuggle in.
Yeah, and...
or pass off as a non-weapon.
And it's also, like, that's principally one of the reasons why when I play a barbarian, my go-to feat, if I don't start with it, is Tavern Brawler.
Yep.
Because, oh, you want to take all my weapons? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not disarmed. I will...
And it gives you a boost to your con.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bonus action grapple is nice.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite feats.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt has them rolling up. They go through security. And so the difficulty in running scenes like this is, like, because there's a fast way you can do it. There was a fast way Matt could have gotten through the ball with making it simply a skills challenge.
Yeah.
And you have moments of RP within that skills challenge. Every turn when someone wants to do something, there's a chance to RP a little bit. On the other hand, it's good he didn't do that because their dice were cold AF.
Yeah.
This episode.
But
so
on the other hand, there is a little bit of opportunity for roleplay if you do it as a skills challenge, but I think the point of this particular scene was to get to know certain NPCs and to learn about them. And that would have been a lot harder to do in the depth that it was done as a skills challenge.
Yes.
If their sole purpose was just to do the ring switch, sure, skill challenge is the way to go.
Yeah.
But that wasn't
the
sole purpose. So
the other way, I don't know if it's more confusing or less. I can't say for sure. And I can't say it's less work for the DM than the way Matt did it. But that is to have index cards.
Oh, yeah.
And you could be fancy with it and have peel off stuff so that the name is obscured. They just see a picture.
Yeah.
And in that way, you can present all the NPCs and you can group them in the groups that they're in. And if you have pictures on there, it enables the players to find who they think looks interesting.
Yeah. I like that way. I think it is a little more prep intensive for the DM.
Yeah.
But it definitely, because you've done that in a game, and it definitely made it a lot, at least in my mind as a player, a lot more solidified of who's where,
Well, and especially the times that I would take this guy from here and he's going over here to talk to these people.
Yeah. And you did it really well because you weren't...
I didn't call attention to it.
You didn't call attention to it, but if you noticed, you noticed.
Yeah.
And there were times when people didn't notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just added to the realism and stuff.
Yeah, and that's doing it that way, Rose. Yes, it would have helped getting them into finding the other secret members because everyone but Marisha basically forgot about that.
Yeah, especially if you have the pull off where you can stuff you've learned about them.
Yep.
Becomes a game of guess who almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Now, in the example we're citing that I ran, there was only
12, 16?
It was less than 20.
Yeah. I want to say it was the low teens.
But yeah, I mean, the binder's right there, but
yeah. 150 is a little harder to do.
Yeah. Yeah. But you could do principal NPCs.
Yeah.
That way. Yeah, and the way that he did it, like I say, not bad.
No.
Things flowed. He got, in some ways,
everyone got their moments.
Everyone got their moments. His was a little more fluid. The other way that you can do this, that Matt didn't really do, was a social initiative roll.
Yeah.
Have everybody roll initiative, and they can add their charisma or wisdom.
Yeah.
And then you can basically just go around. Then you can go around the table, and what are you doing? What are you doing? And just boom, 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 do and go around as if it were combat.
Yeah.
And if people are together, they can help each other. And
I like that because you can have your initiative counters for your prominent NPCs. And if they haven't met them yet or they're not watching them, you don't have to tell them. Just make a little note what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
and then when they finally pay attention to that person, they can find out stuff, or
Right. And like Matt did a pretty good job cutting between the groups. And especially cutting away from Chetney.
Yeah.
Because he usually did that at a peak of stress.
Yeah.
Rather than at a resolution, where with the other ones, he tended to cut away at the resolution.
Yeah. Always pause them wanting more.
Yeah, exactly. They get the answer to this, but they have another question. Oh, we're cutting over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so as far as happening at the ball, a lot of little things happen, both player wise and NPC wise.
Yeah.
FCG got a gold star from me for 2 reasons. One, his use of spell casting. Go around the room, detect magic. Go around the room, detect good and evil.
Yeah.
Detect good and evil, I believe, is an underused spell.
Super underused.
And the fact that he used, hats off. That was a good call.
Yeah.
And then 2, he's the one that recovered the ring.
That, to me, his detect good and evil was a big thing. Detect magic, I feel, was wasted. Because he should have waited until Armand was there to do that.
True.
Because if that ring is magical and Armand tries to access the magic...
I'm fairly sure it is.
Yeah.
And my thought process is either it's like Ascending Stone or the earrings that they had in Campaign 1, or it lets him know when he's summoned to get something from account to be the mouthpiece. It's like how the council lets him know.
And I was thinking it had something to do with his family and how he rose to power.
Yeah, no.
Because he was the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, and that could be. But my thought was, this is how the council lets him know he needs to say something on behalf of the council. Especially if he's known as the mouthpiece, people are going to be watching him. Who's he interacting with?
Yeah.
This way he's not directly interacting with them, and it helps them keep their anonymity. Yeah.
And Rose, it was definitely, and more than just sentimental value as well.
Yeah.
A guy that interested in power.
A guy that's willing to drop 50 gold just for someone to admit they own an automaton.
Well, Armand didn't do that.
That was Armand?
No, that was the face.
Oh.
That was Ziggy Stardust, as I call him.
Okay. For some reason, I thought that was Armand.
No. And the reason I say Ziggy, and Friday morning, I had Ziggy Stardust in my head thanks to this episode. Because Matt sang David Bowie looking halfling. And I was like, that's Ziggy Stardust. The chandelier, the magic chandelier, playing music, immediately put me in the headspace of Firefly. The episode Shindig.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I was in that headspace, as soon as we cut to Fern, she wants to go to the buffet table. I'm like, Kaylee, again. Imogen, we have a return of her fear of crowds.
And being overwhelmed, yeah.
And she says to Orm, I have never been around this many people at once.
Yeah.
Interesting that Matt didn't do anything with that. I know she has it built into her powers.
Yeah.
And she didn't necessarily access them. She did cast Detect Thoughts on Armand at one point. Which means that ring was not a ring of mind shielding.
Correct.
Which I expected many of those to be in that room.
Yeah. And that could be why he didn't call for a roll. Because that was during the dance when she read his mind, and that lets you read everybody's surface thoughts.
Yeah. It would not surprise me if the quorum, all the secret quorum members, have a ring of mind shielding.
Oh, yeah.
And that may be a way to ferret out who's who.
Or at least narrow it down.
Yeah. At least that's what I would be doing. Yeah. Is detect thoughts. Who can I not read?
Yeah.
And then you have fresh cut grass then. Okay, look at these people. And do they have any signs of abjuration on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Imogen Dorian shippers got a lot of play.
Yeah.
In the how should we introduce
Are you gonna be my dad or my servant? Are we polyamorous? Are we all together?
And I was like, oh, a new throuple. Because like the EXU gang are sort of a throuple. And now we've got potentially...
I love the look on Liam's face as Fern, Imogen, and Dorian are talking about, are we a throuple? And he's just like, why am I left out? What about me, guys?
Yeah. Sundari, yeah. Yeah. For sure. We got Paragon's call introduced.
Yep.
The general. Otanish?
Mm-hmm.
And Matt described them as Mad Max types. And he kept mentioning how they were visibly scarred. And I'm just like, oh, those are the lichens that Gurge changed. So
yeah, that was my thought as well.
Yeah. Armand gets announced with a woman.
Yes.
In gray, a half elf in her 20s, and they separate immediately.
Yep.
And Orem is clocking her, is watching her. And she's sketchy AF. We get the next arc's important NPC introduced.
Yep, Grizz.
The Goblin Headmaster.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just like Travis. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Oh no, my favorite is when they meet Preston Droldelon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he says he was the Lord of the Crossroads and moved out this way.
Yeah.
Campaign 1 throwback. The bum that drew the card and became the Lord of the Crossroads.
Quadroads. I have it wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have it right, but I said the wrong thing.
My big thing with that was Travis.
Yes. Because when he was saying that after he said the Crossroads, Rose.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yes, you didn't work for shit, dude.
Yeah. But I was particularly happy and everything because it was Travis that recognized it.
Yep.
And Travis never
is the first to catch on.
Yeah. So that's why I enjoyed that moment.
It was a milestone in his character.
That's true. That's true. And probably his biggest regret of the entire campaign was not pulling the card himself.
Yeah.
So a lot of salt in that wound. But that's where we find out that Armand was the black sheep.
Yep.
And that he had to claw and to rise to power. Which is why I say I think that ring is important to that climb. And I think it's why Esteros wants it.
Even if it's a connection to the council, it could still be a symbol of that climb. Because he's climbed so far, he's reached that point. He's in with the council.
I don't think it's a symbol of the council. I think it's a family heirloom. Or it is a trophy from a kill that Esteros has been interested in for years.
Could be.
And yes, Rose, he could identify the ring to see that it is a tracking ring. If he thinks to do it, which is why I say...
Well, the second he tries to use it for whatever magical effect it's supposed to have, and it doesn't, he's going to.
If it has one. Which would be a huge oversight on Esteros' part in sort of the planning of this.
Yeah.
But it's also a point of failure that no one considered.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah.
We do get when Dorian speaks with Armand. I found it interesting. He says he's never met a dwarf before. Yet his best friend in EXU was Dariax the dwarf.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I wonder if Matt picked up on that and how he felt.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about that happened last episode, though, when he was talking to everybody else, and they got onto him about assuming about dwarves, and he's like, well, I haven't known many.
Yeah. Well, there he says he hasn't known many.
Yeah.
He tells Armand he's never met a dwarf before.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Dariax isn't a typical dwarf. In any sense of the word.
True. We get a whisper, an unsolicited whisper.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where Orym then spreads the word. Dorian's brother is here.
Yep.
Which sets Chetney off on his quest to figure out what he's doing here, which leads him to follow Emoth.
Yep. Who Cyrus ends up working with for.
So that moment is what made me think, oh, this episode's directed by Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Because from that moment on, it was like, okay, there's a lot of moving parts, and there's another heist going on behind the scenes. But the interesting thing for me is the realization that she seems to be under the same effects, have the same powers as Duggar. Number one.
Yeah.
Duggar was a Mason, so potentially connected to the Treshies. Duggar was associated with the Corsairs.
Mm-hmm.
Dorian's brother is being sheltered by the Corsairs. Armand seems to be playing all sides against the middle.
Yeah.
Because it's not a coincidence that more than one person associate with the Corsairs is connected to his family and him potentially personally.
Yeah.
And he's also presumably, based on what the players have uncovered, behind Paragon's call being called in, the push for them to come in.
Yeah.
And we know that he is behind the Nightmare King and all that shenanigans.
Yeah.
So.
And that he feels the Nightmare King double-crossed him or duped him.
Yeah. So, like, Armand is definitely the big bad in the city of Drusar. Whether or not he's on the council or not. Whether or not he's in the quorum or not. And while we had been thinking that perhaps he was, I don't know that he is. And if he is, he's new.
So my thoughts regarding that is either he's not, he's just the face lackey. When they need an announcement, it goes through him. So that none of them are revealed. Or two, and this is far out there is no actual quorum, and he's the guy. And the quorum's just a rumor.
Yeah. I could definitely see yeah. Which is what I'm sort of...
So either it's all him or he's literally just a mouthpiece.
Well, he wants to be just him.
Yeah.
I think it's a Kingpin type situation. Or a Zurhos Daxos. I think I butchered his name. The King of Karth in Game of Thrones. Karth has no king. The warlock appears, kills all of them. It does now.
Yeah.
Which is why it's sort of is a better story if he doesn't know who the quorum is either.
Yeah.
And that's what he's looking for. And that's what he's got Emoth looking for in the rooms that she's digging through, is evidence of who's a member of the quorum, so that he can collect it all and take them out.
Yeah.
Because it's great for rising tensions if the bad guy and the good guy, Esteros, are both after the same thing.
Yeah.
Identifying who the quorum members are. Both for different reasons. So I don't know. I'm sort of 50-50 on it.
Yeah, I am too.
And I don't know.
But again, if the ring is connected to the quorum and it's how they get their messages to him, that fits in with he doesn't even know who the quorum is. If there's some kind of way like that, whether it's the ring or not.
No, Armand is not the mouthpiece. That's the halfling. The halfling is the public face of the quorum. Armand is just a powerful family head. He's just the head of the Treshies.
Thought he was...
No. He's central in the player's scheme of uncovering things, but he's not the mouthpiece.
I gotta stop watching Critical Role when I'm half asleep.
Yeah. But yeah, the interesting thing for me with the mouthpiece, with the halfling, Ziggy Stardust, because I can't remember his actual name, he said to them that he would prefer to speak on such matters, Paragon's call, and all the troubles, in private.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that when he opens the party just before the dance. He says, we can speak with it privately. I don't want any discussion of it on the at the party tonight. And then when I think it's Dorian mentions it to him, is when he's like, kind of thing. So, and really, like, if you're going to detect thoughts, he's also on the list.
Yeah.
But, and Laura is my MVP for the episode. Because she was on the ball the whole time and actually accomplished what her team was trying to do, which is get the rings switched. And Liam had a moment of confusion, and I think they were texting.
Yeah.
And he wasn't quite following what was happening with the ring, because he talks about that when he kicked it, and he never kicked it, he shoulder checked the guy so that FCG could pick up the ring.
Yeah.
And then later, he's like, I need to look for the ring.
Yeah.
The actual ring. I was like, well, no, FCG has it. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I think there were so many things happening in the text thread.
Yeah.
And so many changing plans that they sort of lost track of what they were even doing and where
it
they
can get
were.
easy to do that.
Yeah.
Especially with that many players doing things.
Yeah, which is where like a social initiative order would have helped.
Yeah.
Because it keeps everything flowing and, helps everyone remember where they're at. But yeah, Chetney's solo behind into the, what would you call that area?
VIP lounge.
The hotel rooms. Yeah. I loved Matt's description of it.
Mm-hmm.
The glass windows, the rounded corridor. Like, as he was describing it, I'm like, okay, I now have an idea of where these rooms are in relation to everything and why that would be there. And mostly this is because I've been designing spaces lately, maps and such.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in that headspace, you're more easily able to sort of, okay, yeah. And then it goes around like this, and then there's this, and there should be this kind of thing. And yeah, it was great for me. But we don't know whose room she's in. Emoth.
Right.
And it seems like Dorian's brother is, again, the fall guy.
Yep.
Because he was not in the room with her. And he said, I'm supposed to get stuff, score things on the side.
Yep.
And whatever she is trying to steal is going to be covered up by the fact that other rooms have shit missing.
Yeah.
And
that he gets caught stealing, so it must have been him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, Rose, he does not learn. Typical himbo, for sure. Something the brothers have in common, because Dorian...
Yeah.
Robbie, even on Twitter, was like, yeah, I know I made a mistake. because he almost botched the whole thing. And that's one of the reasons why I give Laura MVP, because she was like, this is what you need to do it. And he's like, can I shut her out?
Yeah.
Laughter was not my response. My response was closer to Laura's. And it was more, listen to Laura. Just do what Laura says.
Yeah. I think for me, my MVP, like, Laura was up there, but I think I give it to Travis. To Chetney, just because his solo part is what is furthering the story. I'm pretty sure Lady of Moth is going to be the next bad that they're going to take down. And it's going to lead them to Armand.
I don't disagree, but I have a caveat.
Okay.
Which is, I think she's going to be somebody they can turn. I don't think confronting her is going to be like a fight to the death or capture. It's going to be a confrontation, and she's going to want out. Sort of like what Matt tried to do with Ripley.
Okay.
Where they found Ripley in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
She had been an ally of the Briarwoods. Now she wants back at them. The dynamic between her and Armand when they came in was fairly cool, let's say. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, my brain is she's solidified as a bad with the
Duggar.
Yeah, with the connection to Duggar and the absorbing the, like, for me that's that you're gone.
Yeah, fair. But I mean, one could say the same about Laudna and her connection to the Briarwoods and being undead. She's gone, man. Gotta burn her at the stake.
Damn it, Daniel!
Just saying.
But Laudna's my favorite. I don't want to think that way about her.
Yeah, I mean, you guys make a good point about Chetney. The thing is like,
yeah, it was off plan, but this whole episode is a perfect example of the D&D trope of improvising the fuck out of everything because the plan goes off the rails.
See, and I felt everything that Chetney was doing was sort of next chapter, setting up the next, getting the, I don't know. Like, what he was doing was sort of important, but not necessary for them to have done anything with. Like, if Orm hadn't rolled a 24 on his perception check and noticed Dorian's brother,
yeah,
they wouldn't have even known that that was happening. So I don't consider that important to the plot. What was important to the plot was getting the ring and finding out who the quorum members are. They got the ring thanks to Imogen, and well, they switched the ring. He got the fake one thanks to Imogen. Yeah. And that's why Laudna is my runner-up for MVP.
Okay.
Because she was the only one on the other team who was focused on doing what they were there to do.
Yeah. Let's see, for me, it was Chetney, then Imogen, because they're the only two that actually, like, yes, Imogen is the reason they got the ring switched. Yes, that was the plan. But that doesn't necessarily push the story forward. It's accomplishing a goal, but now they have to figure out what to do with said goal. And that relies on Estros doing his thing and relying on the NPC. Whereas Chetney, however he came about, set on this path, he got information that will progress the story.
Fair. And yeah, Rose, I agree. Fern was the entertainment highlight for sure. Although I was literally yelling at my TV as if it were a Super Bowl game. Mirthful leap to get away from these people.
Yeah.
Just jump.
Yep.
I was like, jump, jump. But what she did was also okay. But yeah, I was just like, leap. I will say, the best part for me with Chetney doing his solo mission is when he... What do I smell?
Yeah. When he was bringing out, this is my wolf ears listening through the... And yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Because that was literally something no one else can do.
Yeah. And he would have lost the trail if he hadn't done that.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I don't know. He was like, well, wait, can I smell her?
It's a good example of what I like to call digging through your character sheet.
Yep.
When you're looking at your character sheet going, what do I have that can get me out of this or fix this problem or whatever? And because he was looking through his character sheet before he asked, well, what do I smell?
Yeah.
And I think I enjoyed it tremendously when Matt's describing what he smells. And then I think it was Laura who asked, does it smell like Duggar? And Matt's like, he was not there for that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's so good. But also a pitfall of when you're rotating your characters out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does this character know that?
Yeah. Trust me, I'm all too familiar with that problem.
Yeah. Ashton. We have to give props to Ashton. Although it was hilarious to me that Taliesin had forgotten that he made his face look like the Nightmare King.
Yeah.
As did the rest of the table. Erupted in laughter when he's like, oh yeah!
Yeah.
But basically confronting the general of Paragon's call and doing the duel thing.
Yeah.
Which to me, I was like, yeah, this is Shindig.
Yeah.
They were collecting a whole mess of pistols. Let's get one. If you like, anyone can give you the use of a sword. I suppose what? Where he's like, no, let's do fisticuffs. So good. And it got his desired reaction out of somebody.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it caused them to get a guard on him.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting.
Do you think occasionally Matt has had everybody roll initiative, even if they're not there?
Yeah.
Do you think he does that this time? Especially with Chetney dealing with what he's dealing with.
I think so.
Yeah.
I do. It'll be nice. I think we're We're going to get the duel as a fight, which is right on schedule because this campaign has been roughly a fight every other episode. There's been 5 or 6 combats, and we're on episode 13.
Yeah.
So 6, I think. We have the 7th in episode 14, which is actually the slowest pacing of any
combat,
of the campaigns.
It's true. But city campaigns tend to be that way.
Yeah.
Just because cities are ordered to a degree.
Yeah, you tend to go to jail when you get in fights.
Yeah. And yeah. And as Rose points out, about Ashton wanting to use a weapon. I think Ashton just wants a fist fight. I think that's what he enjoys.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had a fight in a while, and I think his level of enjoyment is diminished if there's a weapon involved. If there's a weapon involved, he's going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And he knows that Esteros doesn't want anyone dead at this party. So for him, if I can have a fist fight, nobody is going to die, I get to have fun, and Esteros is spared having to have a death.
Yeah, because he's there as one of Esteros' guards.
Yeah. Now, we also don't know if a weapon is given. We don't know what the rules are.
Yeah.
How does the duel end?
Yeah, because they did say when they were said about duels that only, approved weaponry is allowed.
Yeah.
So they may be, here's your rapiers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, Rose, the FCG compartment thing. Kind of confused me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to come up later.
It'll come up when we do his arc.
Yeah. If and when anyone actually takes him apart.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have a Beauregard or a Caleb in this party to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Or at least to do that and then put him back together again.
Yeah.
It would seem that that's some kind of furnace, because that's also where he puts all his... When he eats metal, that's where it goes.
Yeah.
So it's some kind of arcane furnace. We will probably find out what the timetable on that is, because Chetney's chisel is in there.
Yeah.
His dagger. How long does it take for that to get absorbed / vaporized /
Yeah. Is it a cyclical thing? Is there a detector in there that detects certain types of metal it can use, and that's when it triggers it?
Or is it only on
when he's in stasis?
A long rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Theories on if anyone we met is part of the council. No. I don't think we met anyone on the council aside from Ziggy, who's the open lord of Waterdeep, basically. He's the open lord. Again, Armand, if you want to count that. But again, I think it makes for a more interesting story if he is not and wants to know who the counselors are. It would certainly be why she's digging through rooms for him. But no, I don't think we met anyone on the council.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I would love it just for the sheer fan service of it if Preston was one of them. But I don't think he is.
He would have had to save that wish a long time. Although that would be hilarious. But yeah, I think... Okay, I take that back. There is one person we know of, we have not met them, who may be on the quorum. And that's Ajit. Who the professor is connected to. The headmaster.
Yes.
Who also...
Which is, I think, why he's there, because it was a council member that...
Who also is connected to the Blood Hunters. And is obviously somebody who would be in opposition to all the shenanigans and bullshit that Armand is pulling in the city.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Armand is doing what he's doing to either expose who the quorum is or to eliminate trust in the quorum. And be able to elevate himself to a position of power, is my guess. So yeah, I think Ajit is probably one, which would make sense from a narrative perspective as to why Gurge has been able to sort of exist around the city as long as he has.
Yeah.
You know what I just thought of? This goblin, Grizz, may be who Ashton's benefactor, debtor, has the bet with.
Oh.
Because we don't have a name, we just know he's from Ank'Harel.
Yeah.
And is involved in some way in the arcane or what have you, protection stuff. Could be this guy, or he may know somebody who is.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe. I don't think we don't have enough information to connect that dot. But it just occurred to me that, and he's in the city.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Although probably not, because he said that this was the first time he's been to this part of Marquette. And it seems like where she's sending them would be a work site of the guy. So probably not. Never mind, disregard. I
think you're right
she's a wizard and a powerful one.
Yeah,
she could be like the way Allura was on the Council of Tal'Dorei.
And that would explain how she could have the nobodies running around. You know, I mean, yeah, it could just be a powerful family, but
yeah,
given who Ashton is and his description so far, I don't know that they're the type to.
More evidence that she is.
Okay.
Treshy's fucking with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyone that Treshy is fucking with, we can have suspicions about being on the quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think next episode will be action-packed.
Well, we know we're opening with the duels.
You think so? Not on Chetney?
No.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I think that's probably the best place to do it, to open.
I think we're going to open with the setup of the duel and either handing out the weapons or deciding on the fisticuffs and whatever. And then right before the actual combat starts, we're going to switch to Chetney and see what he's doing for a second. And then come back to the actual combat.
And if he does have everybody roll initiative, then we can play both sides.
Yeah.
We can do both things at the same time.
Simultaneously. Yeah. That's how I think it's going to go down.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But we'll have to see for this Thursday. This Thursday there's an episode. It's next Thursday that there's no episode, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys next Tuesday then.
Bye, guys.